Am I born abandoned? Xia Liangqian, don't punish yourself with others' mistakes. Xia Liangqian, I will always be here as long as you need it. Xia Liangqian, believe in the power of belief. Chapter 1. Ms. Yang and Ms. Xia. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. July is the hottest season in Nanjiang City. For many people who come to Nanjiang for sightseeing, this is a city with a very slow pace. Here, you can completely relax, enjoy life, and enjoy delicious food. Travelers who leave in a hurry will probably return to their own city and take out photos they have repeatedly modified. I often think back to this city with pleasant scenery and fresh air. Starting from the end of June each year, Nanjiang City welcomes a wave of tourism, which can be considered a cool season at that time. The autumn here is very short, so short that people haven't had time to experience autumn yet, and the first snow has already arrived. Nanjiang City is a small city, filled with fireworks everywhere. People who have just arrived here find it difficult to get used to the slow pace for a while. After getting used to this place, you will miss the local customs and traditions more and more as you leave. Many people here are enthusiastic. Here at night, you can see stars all over the sky. In the evening, in a residential area in Nanjiang City, clear laughter could be faintly heard from a family on the second floor. Xia Liangqian tidied up the kitchen and walked towards the person sitting on the sofa watching TV with a smile. Ms. Yang, go out for a walk. The person who heard the sound raised their head, with a smile on their eyebrows and eyes. Despite wrinkles on their face and strands of white hair, they still couldn't conceal their youthful beauty. My granddaughter has a stunning appearance, why is it so difficult for her family to? Although Yang Xiuqin is already 70 years old, she is still spirited, both physically and mentally. Xia Liangqian often says that she is an old mischievous child. Xia Liangqian, who was complained about by his own grandma, is not worried or annoyed. Her waist-length hair was simply tied back with a black band. Her eyes are very similar to her grandmother's. Yang Xiuqin often says that the children she raised are not like her except for these eyes. Yang Xiuqin was not very tall when she was young, and now she can only reach Xia Liang's shallow shoulders as she gets older. Yang Xiuqin has an excellent temper. Xia Liangqian has hardly ever seen her blush with anyone, except for that one time. At that time, Yang Xiuqin was the head of the family. She had to help her mother take care of her younger siblings and work with her father in the fields. She is the only older sister in the family who has never studied. Her marriage is not considered happy, and she only briefly met her grandfather before marrying him. Grandpa has a bad temper, but until his death, no matter what he said, she rarely refuted him. Hurry up, old lady. There's so much talk. She picked up a thin coat and put it on her grandmother. Yang Xiuqin picked up the key and tapped her granddaughter's forehead. You. Xia Liangqian followed the old man, laughing incessantly but speechless. The house was demolished a few years ago and divided into 2 floors. Yang Xiuqin is already 79 years old, but her body is still strong. Xia Liang thought to herself that it's probably not a problem for such a grandmother to climb the 5th floor every day. There is a great place to move in after the demolition of an old house, because all the old neighbors moved together in the past. Therefore, when Yang Xiuqin moved here, Xia Liangqian still felt at ease. There were people chatting when he went out, and his old girlfriends could still be together. Xia Liangqian often sighs in front of several elderly people. What a great old age life. I don't know if I can have such a life when I come in the future. Of course, this statement will inevitably lead to a group of elderly people laughing and cursing. Lao Yang, go for a walk. Grandma Wen, together. Let's go. It happens that Grandpa Wen is not at home, said the grandmother, who walked towards her with great anger. Xia Liangqian naturally took the dog leash from the old man's hand. How about it? Did the idea I gave you yesterday work? What's the point? I was waiting for someone to cook for me, but when I finished eating, I was so angry. Grandma Li picked up Yang Xiuqin and said, he still has some conscience. Bring it back to me. Ha ha ha, I see you're doing well in this lifetime. Grandma Wen's name is Li Hui, and she used to live next door to Xia Liangqian's house. Xia Liangqian listened to the conversation between the two elderly people before him, knowing that his grandmother had given Grandma Wen another blind idea. Grandma Wen and Grandpa Wen have been together for a lifetime, and Grandpa can be said to have never been in the kitchen. Recently, Grandma Wen doesn't know what's going on, but at this age, she has started to argue. Lai Fu, don't listen, the grandmothers are having bad ideas again. Lai Fu is Grandma Wen's golden-haired dog. At first, she was strange. Other elderly people all have small dogs, but Grandma Wen has a golden-haired dog, and when she stands up, she is almost taller than Grandma Wen. Later, according to Ms. Yang, he was the son of Grandma Wen's family and often went on business trips. He entrusted his little golden-haired Lai Fu to his parents for care. I stayed at Grandma Wen's house for a longer time than at his own house. Gradually, Grandma Wen became reluctant and her son completely handed over the blessings to Grandma Wen. Untie Lai Fu and let it move freely. Lai Fu never runs around recklessly, usually he will come back by himself after playing a game. Xia Liangqian often follows the two elderly people for walks, so the task of walking the dog is naturally entrusted to her. Follow the two of them and greet them with a smile when you meet someone you know. Lao Yang, please arrange a time for what I told you before. Are you saying that? Yang Xiuqin pouted at Xia Liangqian, teasing Lai Fu, and continued, but I tell you, you must not let that girl know. If she had known in advance, she would definitely not have gone. Okay. You too, she's so excellent. It's not that she can't be found, she doesn't want to leave you. Grandma had a momentary dimness and said, I know. The next two elderly people tacitly did not discuss this topic again. Xia Liangqian sat on the swing, watching the playful children not far away, the adults sitting beside him, and occasionally hearing some reminders. Look at people, don't bump into them. Baby, you can't do that. My younger sister is too young and she still doesn't understand. Many such words. When someone accompanies her grandmother, she will come over to watch these human fireworks. There are 3 small parks in the community, which is the largest one. Many people choose to walk their children and dogs here after dinner. Xia Liangqian has neither dogs nor children, and there is always an old lady by her side, and from time to time, she can still hear her disapproval. Just as she was immersed in her own little world, she felt the damp heat on her hands and looked down to see Lai Fu licking her hand. Are you back? Let's go find Grandma. When Yang Xiuqin walked in with her slippers, Xia Liangqian was replying to a customer message, what's wrong? Where's the discomfort? She threw down her phone and quickly got up. No, Yang Xiuqin sat down. Grandma has something she wants to tell you. She looked at her guarded and said, what do you want? Granddaughter, it's urgent in the martial arts world. It's not your Granny Wen yet. Despite my obstruction, she insisted on introducing you to someone and even said she had arranged a time with them. Ms. Yang said innocently. If Li Hui knew that she had been used so thoroughly, she would be very happy. What do you mean now? Just help Grandma, go take a look, come back if you don't like to eat, okay? Xia Liang lightly supported his forehead, knowing that it must be the conspiracy of his own grandmother, but what can be done? That's all for now, I can't really make Grandma Wen difficult. Ms. Yang, I suspect that all your cleverness has been used on your granddaughter. Inside, the laughter of grandparents and grandchildren pierced through the thick glass and reached the clouds. Outside, in the bright sky, there hangs a full moon, and by its side, the eyes of the stars blink and blink. Chapter 2. First Meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, as soon as I opened the door of the sales department, I received a phone call from the company. Okay, I got it. The door, which had not yet been fully opened, was locked back again. Hello, Jishan, I'll go back to the company. It should be very soon. Hang up the phone, walk to the roadside, stop a car, give the address, and look out the window at the lush trees. This is her first job she came back to look for. It wasn't long for 2 years, and at that time Jing didn't have such a large scale. For the company, she is a newcomer, and for her, the company is also a newcomer. Jingshang is a real estate agency. At that time, this industry had not yet become popular in Nanjiang City. At that time, the real estate industry in Nanjiang City was not as it is now. There were many real estate industries that gave up when they were about to emerge. However, in just 2 years, there have been earth-shattering changes in Nanjiang, Jingshang, and Xia Liangqian. Jingshang has been established for over 3 years and has been rumored to have 2 bosses. However, during the past 3 years, at least Xia Liangqian has not seen another boss, just a legendary figure. Are you back? The girl standing at the front desk warmly greeted. Why are you suddenly calling us back? The girl waved at her and whispered, the new sales manager is in place today. She wondered, let's hold a welcome ceremony for him. I can't say for sure. I went first. Okay, by the way, I'll go see Ms. Yang after work tonight. Okay. Although these people are resident outside, the company still leaves a place for everyone. At the current workstation, there is only one lonely computer sitting on the table, and everything else is taken by her to Jiangnan village. In her own words, she has become accustomed to using it. About half an hour later, everyone from each project arrived and entered the conference room. The assistant is introducing the meeting content. Listening attentively, the phone is vibrating, it's Wei Zhishan. In this situation, calling oneself is definitely something that cannot be solved. What's going on? He lowered his head and quietly answered. Shallow, the customer from Yuling has come again. Xia Liangqian could even hear the angry voice coming from the earpiece. First, calm down and let them arrange for the client to meet directly in the room instead of coming to the sales department. I will go back immediately. Seeing her walking over, she didn't have time to introduce herself to the man who had just entered, so she quickly stepped forward and said, What's the situation, Manager Xia? The sales department has an urgent matter, I need to go back quickly. There are new instructions in the meeting, please send them to me. Okay, then you go. The assistant turned back and nodded slightly at the person sitting still. Mr. Yi, the manager of the Jiangnanli project who just left, was called back by a colleague to handle an emergency. Let's continue. Well, let's continue. The man's voice was warm, hello everyone, I'm Yi Zhe. His eyes scanned the tense crowd, everyone relax, I believe we will get along very well in the future. He said with a smile on his lips. With the man's smile, everyone's tension towards the new manager gradually relaxed. Hello Mr. Yi, I am Li Hai from the Four Seasons Cloud Top project. Mr. Yi, I am Song Jinan from the Wabanli project. After Yi Zhe's introduction, everyone consciously stood up and reported their responsibility for the project. The purpose of this meeting is to first get to know you guys, and secondly, I believe everyone has heard that our company is developing our own project and is nearing its end. Therefore, the company will choose some people to follow me and move on to new projects. The little episode of Xia Liangqian seems to have not affected anyone. Xia Liangqian over here sent a message to Wei Zhishan before getting off the car. Sister, you're here. What's wrong with you? Why are you so angry? Xia Liang spoke softly and walked over to sit next to the middle-aged woman. Manager Xia, I've been here a few times. What's your attitude now? Leave us alone. The woman came over alone today. She probably knew that bringing her husband would actually help them persuade her to go back. Let's go inside, sister. It's cool inside, Yuling. What's going on? Don't let sister wait for me inside. She was about to help the woman up. Don't give me this trick. If I don't go in, I'll be outside and let everyone see how you, Jiangnan village, deceives consumers. The woman was agitated and spoke loudly, but fortunately it was still early and there were no customers. Sister, what do you want to say? It would be great if we could find a quiet place to talk. It's so noisy outside, and we have to rely on shouting to talk, right? Let's go, come with me inside. She gestured vaguely, referring to the music playing in the sales department. The woman followed her into the small conference room with suspicion. Yu Ling, pour in a new cup of tea for sister. More than an hour later, Xia Liangqian escorted the woman out and said, Sister, just wait for you to go home. I'll have Yu Ling directly take you home. Okay, then I'll leave. Okay, sister, if you have any questions about houses in the future, just call Yu Ling. Speaking of which, please leave me a phone number so that I can contact you directly if I have anything to do in the future. You have the same phone number as me as Yu Ling. Can't you find me if you find her? Okay, that's it then. Sister, please walk slowly. Standing straight, smiling and waving. Returning to the sales department, he gulped down 2 large sips of water, speaking with a dry mouth and tongue. What about them? I'm going out to take clients. Have you eaten it? I ate it. Then I'll go next door and have a bite. Go ahead. Xiao Yang went so shallow that he asked for a bowl of noodles next door and waited. In no time, the boss came over with his face in hand. Thank you, you are welcome. The boss is a man in his 30s, and because he is right next to the sales department, he has good relationships with these people. How is manager Xia's house selling? What do you think? I think many people come and go every day, they must be good. It's okay, it's good to have a seat, there are many people watching. Take some time to show me a set. Do you want to buy a house? If you want to bring your child to school, you always need a house. Sure, you can talk about the requirements and I'll see if there's anything suitable. You eat first, let's talk after finishing. Okay. Halfway through the noodles, I received a message from Yang Shuqin regarding the time and location. Reply received and continue eating noodles. At 3 p.m., the customer was seen off and walked to the front desk. Jishan, if I have something to do, I will go out. If you have something to do, please call me. Why are you going? Wei Jishan chuckled mischievously. As far as she knew, she didn't schedule any clients this afternoon. My grandmother has arranged a blind date for me, she said helplessly. Oh ouch, do we still need a blind date with this shallow appearance? She said with a teasing expression. There's no way, no one wants it. My grandmother is in a hurry. You said that, how can we survive? Alright, go quickly, don't let them wait too long. Pushed Xia Liangqian out. Sitting in the car, watching the tall building constantly moving backwards. Seeing them sometimes gives a great sense of achievement, and how much of it is through finding one's own owner. Xia Liangqian recalled that every time he looked at sales records, one set at a time, one building at a time, and was painted one after another, it was an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Many people did not expect Xia Liangqian to return to work. A young girl who stays in a big city for development will definitely have more opportunities than this small city. Who knows, she didn't even discuss it with her grandmother, and after graduation, she resolutely returned to Nanjiang. Going to work and accompanying my grandmother occupied all of her life. Girl. It's here. Oh, I'm sorry, Xia Liangqian snapped to his senses. Young people nowadays are under a lot of pressure, so they should relax appropriately. The driver kindly advised Xia Liangqian when he saw Xia Liangqian dressed in work clothes. After paying, get off the car and say, thank you. Chapter 3. Coincidentally. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Welcome. The salesperson greeted the door politely and warmly. The person who entered smiled slightly and walked to a corner by the window to sit down. The salesperson followed closely behind. What would you like to drink? The slender hand casually pointed, well, thank you. It was too casual, and the clerk even suspected that she didn't see what she ordered clearly. Sitting quietly on the sofa, before long, the phone's ringtone rang clear. Seeing the caller's name displayed on the phone on the table, I smiled helplessly and answered the call. So what's going on, Ms. Yang? Yes, I have arrived and am waiting. Lowering his head, he casually flipped through the magazine on the table. His long eyelashes flickered inexplicably because of what the other person had said, and his long hair was hung in a high ponytail. How dare I lie to you? I haven't arrived yet, I know. There's no next time, I really won't come again. 10 minutes later, Xia Liangqian stared blankly at the coffee that had just been delivered by the clerk on the table and cursed himself inwardly. Can't you take a closer look? Drinking coffee at this time means going out to steal iron at night. Staying for a minute, giving up the fragrant coffee. Just as she was about to lose patience, her phone rang again. Are you here? Okay, then you can go wait for me for 10 minutes first. As she answered the phone, she didn't notice a tall figure blocking in front of her. When I hung up the phone, picked up my bag, stood up and prepared to leave, I saw that my way was blocked. Then, as he put his phone in his bag, he said, I'm sorry, I have an urgent matter and I have to leave first. As a gesture of apology, please order something and I'll take it. He then took out the money from his bag and placed it on the table. The person who had just taken 2 steps turned back and said, by the way, let's reach an agreement on today's matter. When we go back home, let's just tell our family that I don't meet your requirements. You eat slowly. With an apologetic smile, they turned around and left the coffee shop. Leaving a bewildered man with his phone still on, it happened to be her photo. The man shrugged and murmured, Xia Liangqian. Sweeping over the 2 bills on the table, he asked the waiter to order something, and then he really ate them leisurely, drinking the cup of coffee that Xia Liangqian had never touched before. The taste is good, he sighed as he put down the cup. Back to the sales department, adjust the status before entering the door, smile and enter. Seeing the man sitting on the sofa waiting, he walked over and said, sorry, have you been waiting for a long time? The man was around 40 years old. When he saw the girl coming over, he nodded and said, it's okay. It happened to pass by you. Take me to take a look again. No problem, please wait for me a moment, I'll go get the key. Walking to the front desk, Jishan, the key that I didn't have time to send back last time is with you, right? Hey. Are you back? How was the blind date? At this moment, Jishan didn't forget the gossip. I'll come back and tell you, get me the key first, the customer is waiting. Okay, Jishan rummaged through the drawer and handed it to her. Take my car. I'll trouble you then. Chatting along the way, after more than 10 minutes, the car parked in the parking space of the Jiangnan Village community. Step out of the elevator, go to the door, and open the door. This is a set of nearly 300 square meters of large flat floors. She has already taken this client to see it several times, and in fact, she has already mentioned almost everything that can be introduced and said. The terrace in this house really suits my heart, the man walked ahead and said. Opening the bedroom window casually, he said, do you have any concerns about this house now? Just tell me directly. If it's a problem that can be solved, it's easy to say. But if it's a hard problem, then it's useless for us to say anything now, isn't it? Xiaoxia, my main concern is about the waterproofing issue. You said I bought it with so much money, so it's impossible for me to live in a leaking house. I heard that recently, the top floor of Suizhu Garden was almost completely leaking. Firstly, I can't comment on other projects. Secondly, in our community, as our top-tier customer, the property management will provide free waterproofing every 2 years. I understand your concern very well, because in the past 2 years, such a situation has indeed occurred, mainly due to human and material resources. The Jiangnan project is being carried out by Whiting, and you must know Whiting's reputation in the entire real estate industry, so you don't have to worry about this issue at all. Although I can't guarantee for you how many years this situation will never happen, what I can guarantee is your price, our location, and the services you will enjoy in the future. As I just told you, the property management will provide you with free waterproofing, and the waterproofing materials are definitely one of the best in the industry. Sign the contract and send the customer back. At this moment, I remembered my hasty blind date just now. Unfortunately, I spent money and nobody could see what it looked like. A few people walked over with a smile and interrupted her fragmented thoughts. Manager Xia, the company's activity fee hasn't been paid yet this month. Are you going out to eat tonight? Sure, let me tell Grandma. Yeah, go eat something delicious. Jishan, set a place, the caller shouted to Wei Jishan. Good. After dinner, the group moved on to the distant place. Far away is a newly opened bar with a decoration style that is different from the bustling style of other bars. It is quaint and unique in Nanjiang. The nightlife of those who come here has just begun. Just came back and went on a blind date. Xiao Shi put down his glass and smiled. Wei Xiyuan replied, "You're a bit too anxious, aren't you? Our big brother isn't as quick as you are." Xiao Shi kicked Wei Xiyuan mercilessly. The man didn't answer and looked at the beautiful bartender in front of him, gesturing for another drink. The wine is good. He took the glass and gestured to Wei Xiyuan, "It's one you. I'll kill him first and report later. So, as a gentleman, can I stand him up? Are you coming back this time?" Wei Xiyuan picked up his glass and the three of them clinked their glasses. By the way, how does that girl look? I didn't have time to speak and was interrupted by the sound of the door opening. Yizhe tilted his head slightly. Is it her again? It's really a coincidence, this girl. She's really everywhere. Xiao Shi waved in front of Yizhe and said, "What are you looking at?" "I'm asking you a question." He knocked off his hand and said, "It's average." What are you saying? Isn't it the person I'm going on a blind date with? They look average. A long time later, the two of them saw Xia Liangqian and gritted their teeth, saying, "In your eyes, this is called average." As Xia Liangqian came out of the bathroom, he took out his card from his bag and said, "Jishan, you can go pay the bill after I finish. I have something else to do, go back first." "Got it, then go back and pay attention to your safety." "I won't go over, just tell them." "Got it, go back now." Wei Jishan returned to her seat, but the few of them did not notice Xia Liangqian's figure. "Where's Xiaoqian?" Chu Mingxian asked. "She went back first," she said, taking out the card, "but she left the card. Long live Sister Xiaoqian. Yuling is the youngest and most lively among them." All right, the person is not here. Let's leave it to meet and praise each other." Wei Jishan stopped Yuling from standing up and pulled him down. "Yang Su. Where are you going?" Chu Mingxian asked when he saw Yang Su standing up. "Go to the restroom." However, the person who had to go to the restroom flashed out of the distance. Yang Su chased after him and saw someone sitting on a stool at the bus stop, with high heels off beside him. He walked over with a smile. "Tired?" Sitting next to her. Upon hearing the voice, he turned his head and said, "How did you come out?" "Don't worry, get up and take you home." "No need, I didn't drink too much," he said, putting on his shoes and standing up. "You go back and play with them, I'll just call a car myself." Seeing the car coming over, go back, I'll tell you when we get home." Yang Su hesitated and said, "Okay, then pay attention to your safety and let me know when you get home." "Goodbye." "Goodbye." Yang Su didn't go in immediately and stood outside, lighting a cigarette. I remember Xia Liangqian, who had just arrived at the company, was a newly graduated girl who didn't understand anything. At that time, she was scolded by clients on the phone and even shed tears secretly. Now, she can face any situation, anyone with a smile. Previously, Xiang Su thought this girl was very simple and could be seen through at a glance. Now, I feel like I can't understand her anymore. Probably, I've never understood it before. Put out the smoke and walk in. Everything that just happened was seen by the people who came out to answer the phone. Chapter 4. Men Who View Houses. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Dong dong dong, enter. Mr. Yi, the information you need. Let's put it there. Yi Zhe rubbed his temples. Tianyu saw Yi Zhe's haggard face and said, "Where are you feeling unwell?" "I just didn't sleep well, go ahead and get busy." Just as Tianyu was about to leave, Yi Zhe stopped him. "By the way, isn't Jiangnan village about to be liquidated?" Upon hearing the voice, Tianyu turned around and answered the exhausted person, "Yes, Mr. Yi, Mr. Qiao's suggestion is to leave 2 people over there." "Okay, I got it." After Tianyu left, Yi Zhe flipped through the information he had brought in and couldn't see it. He grabbed the key and left the door. "The night before, I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep, and it continued until dawn. I woke up this morning and suddenly remembered that I drank that cup of coffee. It turns out like this, no wonder she didn't move lunch, a few people from the sales department are having lunch next door. Ask whatever you want." Xia Liangqian looked at Yuling, who was eager to try. "Sister, I just wanted to ask you, how did you deal with my client? I heard from Sister Zhishan that she had 2 emotions when she left and when she came." Yuling looked at Xia Liangqian and didn't wait for her to speak before asking, "Also, how did you persuade her into it? Before you came, she wouldn't even go in after all my good words." Xia Liangqian said, "She knows in her heart that no matter how much she fusses about this matter, she won't make sense, but she's not willing to accept it. So, as long as we give her some sweetness, she will be very happy. Then if you say a few nice words, she will definitely leave happily. Maybe someone around her will think of you when they look at the house in the future. As for entering the conference room, it's just a small trick." After saying this, she smiled at Wei Zhishan. The interaction between the 2 deepened the curiosity of Yuling, a novice. So she put down her chopsticks and shook Wei Zhishan, who was sitting next to her, saying, "Sister Shan, tell me quickly." Wei Zhishan smiled and said, "Before you went to the sales department, Sister Qian sent me a message asking me to gradually turn up the music. The noisy environment was not liked by customers, so she came back and said a few words. Naturally, she followed her words and found a quiet environment. After finishing, she continued to eat her own noodles." Yuling was surprised and said, "Is there such an operation? By the way, what did you give her, Sister Qian?" "A while ago, the company didn't just send her a water purifier, it happened to be a gift." "But isn't that what the company rewarded you with?" The little girl felt a little guilty when she heard this. Seeing her abnormality, "You don't have to blame yourself, I don't need it. Sending it out can unleash the maximum value, why not do it? Moreover, each of us made mistakes when we first arrived. This time you made a mistake, remember it, and it's important not to make it again in the future. Xiao Qian is right. When she first joined the company, she made a mistake that was even more foolish than you." Xi Yangshu pushed her face towards Xia Liangqian. "Is it really fake?" Yuling took a bite of the noodles and exclaimed in surprise. "Of course it's true. I came about 2 weeks earlier than her back then, and I remember the master who brought her said she was a vase." She looked at Xia Liangqian eating noodles and said, "She doesn't know where to go." At first, when she entered the community, she couldn't find anything. The key is to give her directions, you can only use left and right. As soon as these words were spoken, the other 3 laughed together. Looking at manager Xia and Yuling, there is still a lot of room for your development. Chu Mingxian wiped his mouth and stood up. I'll go back first. I'm on duty today, and you can go to the back to rest after finishing your meal. The remaining 4 people were eating slowly and systematically. Xia Liangqian said, however, you need to remember that some conditions may not be too difficult for us to achieve, but you cannot tell your customers, it is very simple. In fact, no matter what conditions we agree to, there will inevitably be some people who will make some sacrifices in the process. Our job looks quite simple, it seems like anyone can come, but in fact, there is a lot of knowledge inside. Take your time to learn, little one, Wei Zhishan said. Wei Zhishan is the older sister in this team, Yu Ling is the youngest, just graduated, and there are only 3 people left, all the same age. Chu Mingxian, who was on duty, was just about to sit down when someone walked in. Hello, looking at the house. Chu Mingxian quickly stood up and welcomed him. Do you have a large square meter wedding room? The visitor asked. Our current house's square meters are not too full. Depending on your needs, what size square meters do you want? Do you have anything over 200? There are actually 2 sets of 270, please take a look at the layout first. Chu Mingxian finished speaking and took him to the sand table, pointing to a building in the middle. This set is on the 15th floor of this building. Please sit down and I will show you the layout map. After Yi Zhe sat down and looked around, he took the floor plan and casually asked, are you the only one in your sales department? Oh, no, of course not. Other colleagues are having dinner, and we take turns on duty. Today happens to be me. Yi Zhe nodded lightly and carefully studied the layout plan. Can I see the house now? Of course. Before Chu Mingxian could say anything else, Yi Zhe's phone rang. What's going on? Now. All right, I'll go over. Yi Zhe hung up the phone and said to Chu Mingxian, who was standing up with him, I have some last-minute matters to attend to. I'll come over and take a look when I have time. Okay, no problem. Chu Mingxian saw Yi Zhe out and handed him his business card before closing the car door. Whenever you have time, just give me a call. Please be slow. Yi Zhe nodded. A few people came out from the next door, and Chu Mingxian had just walked to the entrance of the sales department. Wei Zhishan. Do you have customers? Chu Mingxian said, there's someone here to see a large square meter wedding house. I was planning to go and see the house, but a phone call called and they left. Chu Mingxian reluctantly spread his hand. But this person looks good, Chu Mingxian said as he opened the door. Girl. Yu Ling asked. Not really, a man who looks good to me as a man. Wei Zhishan was amused by Chu Mingxian's words and said, I don't know if it's true. It's so exaggerated. Next time he comes, you should notify me. I must see what kind of beauty you have in your mouth during this prosperous era. She looked at Xia Liangqian and said, is that right, shallow? You should watch it yourself, I'm not very interested, he said and walked towards the lounge. A few people looked inexplicably and neatly at Xia Liangqian's back. Chu Mingxian said, hey, why can a girl like her still not have a boyfriend? Yu Ling, I think we haven't met a suitable one yet, have we? Wei Zhishan said, I don't know what kind of person is suitable in your eyes, but I've seen 2 hands chasing her that I can't even count. She's better off, not giving a chance. The one who refuses is called a clean and efficient one. Xiang Su said, hurry up and take a break. You too, when you're back at work, you're going to shout, tired, didn't sleep well. Chapter 5. Miss Xia's Friends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On a day off in August, Xia Liangqian and 2 friends made an appointment to meet at Yongrui. Yongrui is the largest shopping mall in Nanjiang City. Located in the city center. At this moment, Xia Liang smiled lightly and enjoyed coming out with Su Endi and Ji Beijiao. It's strange to say that 3 people with different personalities play well together. The 3 of them met in Shangjing. Xia Liangqian entered the company 1 month earlier than Ji Beijia, and Ji Beijia was a little earlier than Su Endi. Actually, when I first arrived at the company, the three of them didn't speak much, and their friendship seemed strange, but inexplicably they got along. When Xia Liangqian returned to Nanjiang City shortly after entering the company, she was not in a good mood during that time. It can be said that Ji Beijia saved her. Strangely enough, she didn't do anything, but when the two of them were together, they could forget those unhappy things. The three of them were later temporarily transferred to a sales department, and they often arranged to eat, drink, and drink together. After a while, the relationship between a few people became as good as wearing a pair of pants. Even though Su Endi has left the company now, it has not affected their relationship. Su Endi only worked at Shangjing for less than a year before leaving. The remaining two, Ji Beijia, transferred to receive him. After more than a year of training, Xia Liangqian went out to lead a project on his own. Su Endi, holding the spoils of war, looked at Xia Liangqian and asked, "How are you? Have you been busy lately?" "At the beginning of the trading session, I was busy, but now it's okay," Xia Liangqian replied as he flipped through the clothes hanging on the shelf. "When will you be like me? Let's go behind the scenes. The sales pressure is too high. Look at my hairline because it was under a lot of pressure at that time, and it was all moving backwards." Ji Beijia pointed to her shoulder-length short hair and said. Xia Liangqian said, "I want to take advantage of my youth and work hard in these few years to earn more money, so that I can support my grandmother in the future." Ji Beijia said, "You put too much pressure on yourself. Besides, are you just going to keep going like this?" Xia Liangqian was momentarily absent-minded, but this brief scene was captured by both of them. Ji Beijia said, "I'm not talking about you. It's been so long, you should start over." Su Endi. I agree with that. Although I didn't accompany you through that period of time, you really shouldn't miss the right opportunity because of the wrong person. Xia Liangqian asked for the smallest size of clothes for someone to put on, and turned to the two of them, saying, "Actually, it's not really that. I forgot about it a long time ago. I just want to spend more time with my grandmother and fight with her every day." What a wonderful day. After taking the clothes, the few of them walked to the next house. Su Endi. I don't object to you living alone. What I object to is that you can't stop dating. After looking at the two of them, he continued, "As the only married person, I strongly advise you not to step into the besieged city of marriage easily." Xia Liang paused briefly and said, "Did you argue?" Su Endi. Where is a couple who doesn't argue? Let's. It's not just a matter of arguing. Ji Beijia. Choose a place and talk while eating. The three of them chose a small Korean meal for their family, sat down, ordered the meal, and the two began to inquire about Su Endi. Ji Beijia. What's going on? I even said why suddenly we were called out to go shopping. Su Endi. Since the last time our child was not saved, we have been planning to open a store. Now that the store has opened and stabilized, everything has been developing in a positive direction. But I have clearly felt a change in him recently. Xia Liangqian poured water for the two people and said, "Are you overthinking and communicating with him?" Su Endi. I want to communicate, but he doesn't. Every time you say this, he answers that. The two of us are not even arguing on the same channel now. Xia Liangqian said, "I used to treat you too well, but now the store is busy and neglects you, which is why you don't adapt and think recklessly." Su Endi's husband's name is Fong Gaonan. When the three of them used to work together, they were often fed dog food. At that time, Fong Gaonan picked up Su Endi from work every day, giving gifts regardless of whether it was a holiday or not. Sometimes, Su Endi, who was working, was surprised by Fong Gaonan's unexpected gifts. Later on, Su Endi became pregnant and the examination was not very good at that time. He resigned and went home to have a baby. When the child was over 2 months old, he turned red and went to the hospital in the middle of the night, but the child was not saved. Su Endi took good care of himself, and the two of them began to plan to open a store. Fong Gaonan is a man with a strong sense of career and masculinity. Indeed, their business has been very successful, and they have already opened 2 branches in Nanjiang City within a year. When I started getting busy, I couldn't find a waiter for a while. Both of my good friends have helped Su Endi's restaurant. After work, the two of them went to her place to work. The problem between the two is not just a matter of time, but Su Endi may not even know when Fong Gaonan started to change. Ji Beijia took a bite of food and continued, "So what do you plan to do? If you're not happy, it's not a solution. We'll have to solve it." At this moment, the two outsiders became anxious. Looking at themselves, they ate with relish and couldn't see any unhappiness. "Don't look at me like that, you two. In my eyes, there is nothing that cannot be solved with money. Don't worry about me. If I really have something to do, I will say." After dinner, a few people sat chatting. "Where's your boyfriend?" Xia Liangqian looked at Ji Beijia and asked. "It's early." For this answer, the other two were not too surprised. "You've talked about it a few times, haven't you? How come none of them came to the end?" Su Endi's words sounded regretful, but his tone didn't have any regrets. "Perhaps I was born unsuitable for marriage." Ji Beijia was tacitly cast with white eyes. "Oh, I don't know either. I might be living too soberly. I've thought too much about my family, values, and personality. Maybe it's my own fault. Every relationship gets boring after a while," she said, looking at the two of them. "Sometimes I feel like a scumbag. Not to mention, the attribute you mentioned is really." Xia Liang smiled lightly. 3 people fighting and fussing, time flies by quickly. By the time they came out, it was already close to noon, and after all this fuss, it was almost evening. Su Endi didn't want to go back yet. After listening to Jiada's advice in northern Hebei, he went back to his grandmother's house. Dinner was Xia Liangqian's main sword, and Su Endi took the initiative. 4 dishes and 1 soup, served in less than an hour. Today, 3 beautiful women accompanied the old lady to dinner, and they both had good taste and good eyesight, Yang Xiuqin said, adding a piece of meat to each of them. Ji Beijia gave the old lady a piece and said, "Then you need to eat more today and see if your granddaughter's craftsmanship has declined." As soon as these words were spoken, Su Endi and Xia Liangqian looked at each other and smiled. 3 people together, with clear division of labor. Ji Beijia is basically only responsible for ready-made things. Everything is good. Su Endi is like a careful and patient big sister. She seems to be able to take care of everyone properly. As for Xia Liangqian is not easy to locate. She can almost meet the conditions she puts forward to anyone. No matter who or when, she is almost always on call and takes care of everyone in life. She is also a person who is very concerned about the feelings of others. How to say, she is someone who would rather suffer on her own than want others to make things difficult for her. Dinner was enjoyable. A few people accompanied the old lady out for a walk. Ji Beijia and Su Endi often come, but it's really the first time they've gone out together at night. An old lady is accompanied by 3 young and beautiful little girls, which definitely has a lot of turning heads. Life is always so wonderful, no one knows who you will meet or know in the next second. Chapter 6. Hello. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji Beijia affectionately held on to her grandmother, but instead her granddaughter became the one following behind. Xia Liangqian looked at the old and young people walking ahead, unsure of what they were talking about. The old lady smiled happily. Always making things difficult and consuming emotions, let's find a time to have a good conversation. After speaking, he looked at Su Endi beside him. The latter doesn't have too many expressions. It's really not that I don't want to communicate. I can't tell if he's avoiding or completely unconscious now. A 5.6-year-old boy riding a bicycle almost hit Xia Liangqian and was scolded by the adults following him. The boy apologized and had two shallow dimples when he smiled. Xia Liangqian touched the boy's head and said, "It's okay." A slight smile from the other parent can be considered a greeting. The little interlude did not interrupt Xia Liangqian's thoughts, and he continued, perhaps he himself did not realize that it was not easy to manage the store to its current scale in less than 2 years. Find a good day and have a romantic relationship with the two of them. Just like before, cook and talk to each other after eating. If he doesn't say it, how can we live so long in the future? Alright, you still have to worry about me. You can talk about it yourself for a while. It's impossible for you to expect the two of us to introduce you. Getting out of singlehood depends on yourself. Let's talk about it in 2 years. I don't have this idea yet. Su Endi roughly understood her thoughts and didn't say much. The two of them quickened their pace, trying to catch up with the missing person. Xia Liangqian saw from afar that his grandmother was chatting with Grandma Wan in a lively manner. The difference is that today there is a person standing next to Grandma Wan, occasionally smiling at her own grandmother. Yang Xiuqin saw her granddaughter coming over and waved at the two of them. Grandma Wan. Xia Liangqian greeted. Did you just see Grandma Wan? Yang Xiuqin pulled Xia Liangqian to her side and looked at the tall person next to Grandma Wan with a smile. Haven't you seen her before? Why didn't you say hello? Of course, this was about her granddaughter. Xia Liangqian took the opportunity to look at the person across from him and wondered, have you seen it before? When? Who is it? Grandma, what are you talking about? Where have I seen it before? The success of this statement filled the two old ladies with doubts. However, before they could raise any doubts, the boy who had been silent spoke up. Hello, Yi Zhe. Politely extended his hand. Xia Liangqian could even see the other person's gently trembling eyelashes and a graceful smile hanging from the corner of his mouth. The girl looked inexplicable and did not return the friendly hand extended by the boy. Yi Zhe was not embarrassed, smiled and withdrew his hand. He looked at Grandma Yang and said, "It's like this, Grandma. Last time we met, it was just that I had seen her, and she hadn't seen me. What's going on? That's not what you told me when you went home." Yang Xiuqin asked Xia Liangqian. Xia Liangqian's face was full of confusion, not knowing what the other party was saying. Miss Xia, have you forgotten? Do you still remember October coffee? You even treated me to dinner, but you left in a hurry and couldn't accompany me to eat. I'm sorry. After the October coffee came out, Xia Liang's light flashed lightly. That's it, that's it. I silently glanced at the person across from me with a smile on his face. He clearly agreed on how to go home and explain it to his family. Now, what does it mean to be in front of the two elderly people as a backup? If I had known this, I shouldn't have given you money and let you eat. Of course, this can only be said in my heart. Ah, I remember. I'm sorry, I had an urgent matter that day. It's okay, I hope you don't stand me up next time. Yi Zhe's tone was full of innocence. Yang Xiuqin didn't hear her granddaughter's answer and turned around to take a look. Received a warning from my grandmother's gaze and responded with a smile. Of course, she couldn't miss the wonderful expressions of her two good friends. Yang Xiuqin and Grandma Wan went back together. Xia Liangqian saw the two of them off. Sure, you're keeping it a secret. We didn't know there was such a high-quality alternative. This joke comes from Ji Zenin. What? I forgot about this person a long time ago. Besides, I was in a hurry to leave that day and didn't even see what this person looked like. You can ignore growing up like this. The decibel of Ji Beijia suddenly increased, and Xia Liangqian quickly stepped forward to cover the other person's mouth. Finally seeing off two people. Xia Liangqian didn't expect that there would be a roadblock on his way home. You don't need to think too much to understand, it must be my own grandmother who is procrastinating and deliberately waiting for me to come back. Shake your head, step forward quickly, and hold on to Yang Xiuqin. Did you come back so soon? That's just right. Xiaoye also needs to leave. He's not familiar with the community. I don't remember where the car was parked, you go help me find it. If it weren't for the situation not allowing, she would want to roll her eyes. Excuse me, Miss Xia. What's your name, Miss Xia? You two are about the same age, just call yourself Xiaoqian. Another assist from my grandmother. Then I'll follow grandma's advice, Xiaoqian, let's go, someone said naturally. Xia Liangqian walked a distance before remembering, where did you probably park your car? Ah. I remember there seem to be many trees nearby. I'm really rolling my eyes this time, can you be more specific? There are too many places with trees in the community. Oh, wait a moment, I'll think about it again. Xia Liang simply stopped walking and waited for him to think. In a few minutes it seems there is a small park not far away. There are 3 small parks in this community, so let's find them one by one. The community said it's not big, but it will take almost an hour to complete this circle, which is probably much faster than walking to work. I don't know how many times I have scolded someone in my heart. Finally, to the last one, this is the last one. Please take a look and see if you have your car. Yi Zhe looked around and came back to spread his hand at her. No, he said, wait, no, every building has a building number. Even if you're here for the first time, it's definitely based on the building number. Parking is definitely the closest place to park, and no one who drives will not remember where their car is parked. Now this situation is clearly sliding themselves. Yezha. Xia Liangqian tried to suppress his anger and said, are you doing it on purpose? Yi Zhe didn't hide it and smiled mischievously, saying, Miss Xia, even if it was intentional, I'm still accompanying you, isn't it? She really didn't expect this person to shamelessly admit and even say something she couldn't accept. Bite your teeth and say, okay. You've avenged yourself, don't send it and then leave. Hey, let me give it to you. It seems quite far away. No need, take your time. Xiao Liang didn't even turn his head. See you next time. Xia Liangqian didn't say anything more, muttering as he walked, what would he see? It's better to never see you again, you kind of weirdo. Angry Xia Liangqian took out his phone and quickly typed a line of text on it with his fingers, sending it out. That night, Xia Liangqian had insomnia and couldn't sleep after tossing and turning. Finally, she concluded that she must have been so angry. Later, I learned from my grandmother that Grandma Wen was actually Yi Zhe's grandmother. When Yi Zhe was young, he lived with his parents in another city and recently returned to Nanjiang. Grandma also said that although her grandson has been particularly mischievous since childhood, Grandma Wen said, after growing up, become a mischievous adult. However, the person is still good. At that time, Xia Liangqian couldn't agree with Grandma Wen's words. Chapter 7. Mr. Yi. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 8. Grandma Wen's Home Cuisine. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Before October arrived, Xia Liangqian received a call from the old lady. Notified to go to Grandma Wen's house after work in the evening. Grandma Wen asked her grandparents and grandchildren to go home for dinner. This is quite ordinary for Xia Liangqian. Grandma Wen cooks very well, and coupled with the fact that both families are very thin, there is a lively atmosphere like Xia Liangqian, a young man. Both the old couple are willing to ask them to go. Xia Liangqian bought a lot of fruits at the supermarket in the community. While waiting for the elevator, there was an extra person by my side. Subconsciously conceded. I didn't expect that person to get closer again. Xia Liangqian just looked up and saw a smiling face. What a coincidence, Miss Xia. Xia Liang stared at the smiling face. A mischievous smiling face, with even two thick eyebrows rippling softly, as if it had always carried a smile, curved like the bright crescent moon in the night sky. A handsome and prominent facial feature, with a smooth and fair face. Xia Liangqian has to admit that he is indeed a sunny and handsome person. Unfortunately, hello. Are you trying to deal with me again? Yizhe's slender fingers swayed in front of Xia Liangqian. Xia Liangqian realized his loss of composure and pretended to be calm. You've thought too much, young Master Yi. Oh. I thought Miss Xia was as sharp-tongued today. Xia Liangqian did not answer the conversation. At this very moment, the elevator got off and the two of them got on the elevator together. No need to ask, she also knows that this person must be going to the same family as her. It seems that the two elderly people really treat this matter as a career. Hello grandma, grandparents. Grandma 1, Grandpa 1. The person who was called Grandpa 1 by Xia Liangqian got up when he heard a voice and said, "Here. Come in quickly," wanting to reach out and take the thing she was carrying. When he saw Yizhe behind her, he gave him a white glance and said, "Why don't you bring the thing over and let the girl carry it?" Then he looked at Xia Liangqian and said, "I have to talk to you again. How many times have you said, don't buy anything when you're here?" "No, Grandpa. I'm afraid you didn't buy it. I was thinking we could eat after dinner." The scene where Xia Liangqian acted coquettishly towards his grandfather, Yizhe did not expect it. Next, Xia Liangqian surrounded the three elderly people. Yizhe had a feeling that he had gone wrong. Only when she asked herself to help in the kitchen did her grandmother remember this person. "Yizhe. You come wash the vegetables. Yizhe. Come and cut the meat. Yizhe. Soak the fruit and eat it later. Yizhe. Why did you run out again?" Xia Liangqian sat on the sofa watching TV with Grandpa 1, watching Yizhe run back and forth, laughing back and forth. "Young Master Yi. Can you bring the soaked fruits over and let me have some?" Xia Liangqian joked. "Here. Miss Xia." Xia Liangqian swore that he was really just joking, but he didn't expect Yizhe to bring it to her. "Grandma 1, can I help you with something?" "Wait and eat, where are you? Sorry. Don't come with me like this. It's not your first time eating at Grandma Wen's house." Xia Liang pursed his lips and said, "You really can't save me some face, can't you?" He then rubbed Yang Shuqin's shoulder. All right, let's go out, we'll have dinner right away. So I'll go tidy up the table. Go ahead." By just over 6 o'clock, 6 people had already started eating. 2 kids, eat more. We're still growing our bodies. Grandpa, do you think we're still 18? Can we still grow? What do you know? Your body still needs nutrition. Grandpa 1 is right, I eat meat. He even picked up meat for the 3 elderly people. You also eat meat. You are still young and need nutrition. This statement drew laughter and scolding from my grandmother, making the old woman unable to stop laughing. "Grandma, I'm going to your house in the future." No one expected Yizhe to suddenly say, "Look, there's no one else in this house who cares about me. I can only go to your house to ask for attention." This statement was even accompanied by some grievances. Okay, in the future, you can go to your grandmother's house for dinner and have Xia Liangqian cook it for you. Grandma. Someone was anxious. The laughter of children, the shouts of adults, and the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing over the lush trees, passed through the open window and reached everyone's ears. The prawns, chicken wings and braised pork belly on the table seemed to be infected by the lively environment and become fresh. Xia Liangqian asked 3 elderly people to rest. Before Yizhe could take action, his grandmother entrusted him with the task of washing dishes. "Miss Xia, let me wash it." "If you wash it, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by those 2, she said as she pouted at the old woman on the sofa, who was completely engrossed in chatting. "Thank you, young Master Yi." Yi Zian looked at the person who had finished speaking and turned to leave, saying, "Miss Xia, it's not very kind to leave me here to work alone. So what do you want?" "I want to shoot a video for you. Do you want to post it to a group where you love each other? That's the way it is, or should you pick up the washed dishes, wipe them, and put them in the cabinet?" At this moment, the two people were thinking something unclear, but the three people sitting outside noticed the scene and began whispering to each other. Mrs. Li said, "These two children are quite compatible." Mrs. Yang said, "Don't worry, Yi Zhe is a sensible child. I have always had a keen eye for people." Mr. Wen interjected in a timely manner, "In my opinion, you shouldn't interfere too much in the children's affairs. Children have their own thoughts, and if two people get along and like each other, they will still be together without your intervention. On the contrary, even if you keep two people together, it's useless." Mrs. Li took action and said, "Damn you, you don't care about anything. You just sit and talk without hurting your back." She then gave a blank look. "Lao Li, don't say anything, he's right. We can't interfere too much, especially with us. Don't be fooled by her usually not saying anything and being happy, I understand. She wants to accompany me on the rest of the way at home. As for this child's marriage, her parents haven't left any good examples." After saying this, she took a deep look at the person inside who was talking to Yi Zhe. "I look at the growing child. I have a clear idea in my heart." This sentence comes from Yi Zhe's grandfather. When Xia Liangqian was less than 1 year old, he was at his grandparents' house, and when Hanlin's house was next door to his grandmother's house. My grandfather passed away due to illness when Xia Liangqian was 10 years old. From then on, in Xia Liangqian's world, there was only her grandmother. Before, Nanjiang City was not well planned, and there were still some people farming. When Xia Liangqian didn't go to school, he often followed his grandmother out to work. At that time, Xia Liangqian always followed behind Yang Xiuqin's buttocks. The small appearance is indescribable and heartbreaking. Sometimes, when Yang Xiuqin couldn't take her out, she would deliver it to the next door. When Hanlin comforted Xia Liangqian after the age of 10. When Hanlin often tells his daughter Law that the child is sensible and heartbreaking later, Yi Zhe said, "I want to go back to your childhood." Chapter 9. Life of Oil, Salt, Sauce, and Vinegar. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Life is like a box of mixed flavored candies you buy, you can't predict whether the next one will be fruity or creamy. Fortunately, you can freely choose from your candy box. As for life, Nanjiang City has entered a cold winter. Su Endi's married life seems to have changed with the weather. One day in November, Su Endi checked into Xia Liangqian's house with his luggage. On the first night, Yang Xiuqin wisely entered the room early. Two girls, in a warm room, lying on the bed. Talking nonsense, no one mentioned Fang Gaonan this evening. Su Endi stayed at Xia Liangqian's house for the 5th night. Ji Beijia returned from his hometown, and Xia Liangqian had another person on his bed. Su Endi looked at the dim yellow light with a trance and said, "I don't know if everyone's emotions in marriage are gradually consumed by oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar. Do you think I'm not free enough?" Ji Beijia lay in the middle and turned to look at her. "If you still love, you can't be free and easy. You care about all his actions. Emotions are the most unreasonable thing, they never make sense." Xia Liangqian said, "Ms. Yang said that life is short, do what you want to do." Ms. Yang also said that if you were born in this era, you wouldn't choose her husband. Even if you were together, you wouldn't end up in the end. She also said that our lives have only passed a very small part. If you wronged yourself and have so much time left, how can you persuade yourself to live on? Yang Xiuqin has never attended school, but she can speak many truths. It is a colloquial truth that many people agree with. Su Endi looked at the two of them, sat up, and said, "You haven't entered marriage yet. Maybe I've said a lot, but you don't understand, so. Perhaps we don't understand, but we understand you, understand your feelings, and understand your situation, Xia Liang said. It's like these small things, slowly rolling like snowballs, getting bigger and bigger, until one of them can't stand it, said Ji Beijia. Yeah, living a life can't be a big deal every day. But who comes to wash the dishes today and who comes to clean the house tomorrow? You can't go home for dinner today, didn't notify me, I'm angry tomorrow, didn't prepare your meal, that's all. But I can't live such a simple life well. I remember a sentence that said marriage is a quadratic equation composed of happiness and pain. The most ideal result is that happiness is greater than pain. The worst result is that pain is greater than happiness, and the most common result is that happiness is equal to pain. Although I haven't experienced it yet, I think the person who said this must have understood it. Xia Liangqian finished speaking and got up from the wardrobe to get a blanket. Ji Beijia took the quilt and said, I also remember a saying I've seen before, which said marriage is a game of Go. The closer the ranks of both parties are, the longer the game lasts. However, marriage is a game that includes factors such as knowledge, cultivation, personality, and even background. I don't know if marriage is not complicated, but if we think it's complicated or if we can't see through it at all. In marriage, one never needs a keen eye. Indeed, what has been said is more concise and clear than what we have experienced, sighed Ji Beijia. The three sisters talked late this evening. On the seventh day at Xia Liangqian's house, Su Endi compromised with Fang Gaonan. One person was sent back by two people. On the night she left, Xia Liangqian lay on Yang Shiqin's lap watching TV with the old lady. Grandma, what kind of marriage is a good one? Yang Shiqin first glanced at her and then turned off the TV. Grandma doesn't know what kind of marriage is considered a good one. In my grandmother's era, many people were betrothed by their families before they even met each other. Fortunately, my grandmother had met my grandfather and knew that he had once been married. My grandfather has had a bad temper all his life. When he gets older, he scolds and gets angry. When he was young, he would take action. For my grandmother, if she doesn't take action and doesn't get angry, she can think from each other's perspectives. This kind of marriage is a good one for me. When people are enjoying the future, they always want what they don't have now, what they lack now. So, granddaughter, don't be afraid of marriage. Although you have seen failed marriages, you should know that in this world, in a certain city or place, there must be many people who are doing well. They can understand each other and occasionally have some temper tantrums, but this does not affect their love for each other. Yang Shiqin gently stroked Xia Liangqian's hair and said word by word. Grandma, I don't doubt marriage. I seemed afraid she wouldn't believe me. I sat up and looked at her seriously. Really? I really believe it. I just don't believe it will happen to me. This is what Xia Liangqian left in his heart. I have always been the one who has been abandoned, and the only lucky one is my grandmother. Xia Liangqian's eyes darkened. Granddaughter, life is like this. Every day is all about small things like oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar. Don't worry about things that haven't happened yet. You should start dating. Oh, why did you come to this point? Turning on the TV again, you watch your bloody drama quickly. If you don't let me say it, I'll say it too. Yizhe is a good kid, you two can try to get in touch. Yizhe. Thinking of Yizhe, I have really had a lot of contact with him recently. Wei Zhishan, Si Yangshu, and herself were all called back to the company. A sales project team of 10 people has been established. Today, Yizhe just held a meeting with these people. We need to enter the project before the new year. Recently, everyone has been busy checking out customers who haven't closed deals before. What's going on? You think Grandma's words are right, right? Yang Shiqin saw that she hadn't reacted for a long time, and turned to see her granddaughter thinking something, lost in thought. My thoughts were pulled back and I said, what? No, I'm thinking about something else. Alright, watch TV quickly, I won't be able to connect for a while. Chapter 10. Marriage Room. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A week before moving into the left bank Dingji, Yi Zhe assigned tasks. Xia Liangqian sat in the passenger seat of Yi Zhe, his eyes flickering. Normal subordinates and superiors would have the same mindset as me when they go out to work, right? Xia Liangqian thought. Have you mentioned it before? What? Xia Liangqian was puzzled. Yi Zhe chuckled lightly, why are you so nervous? Xia Liangqian rudely gave his immediate superior a cold eye. You don't look like a person in the company or at home. Yi Zhe focused on driving and didn't see Xia Liangqian's movements. Is it difficult for me to be a dog at home? As soon as Xia Liangqian said this, he wanted to bite off his tongue. Why can't I just laugh and deal with anyone like that, Manager Yi? I think I can retract what I said earlier. It's just that I didn't understand what you meant. Then he spoke again. It's okay, I'm used to it. As the words fell, Yi Zhe parked the car and looked at her as she continued, you're both like a child and an adult by grandma's side. Xia Liangqian obviously didn't expect what he wanted to say, but he quickly reacted, Manager Yi said this. If I were like a child in the company, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the opportunity to work with you. Two people have known each other for a long or short time. It has been 6 months since I first met. At first, there weren't many meetings, but with the intentional or unintentional matchmaking between the two elderly people, they would meet not only in the company but also privately. Yi Zhe slowly realized that she was sensible, stubborn, and mature, hiding her emotions in the deepest depths. Xia Liangqian stood beside Yi Zhe, unable to resist rolling his eyes. When it comes to lying, it's really not a blush or a heartbeat. Are you buying a wedding house? The male salesperson asked politely. Yes, the wedding house. I only want the existing house, it needs to be unfinished. My friend told me that now only your community has unfinished houses. Yi Zhe spoke lightly. If you want rough materials, then you and your sister-in-law are in the right place. Our livable community is the first in Nanjiang City to only sell rough materials. You can plan how you want to decorate it later on. Yi Zhe felt the people around him staring at a certain 2 words and was clearly stunned. Okay, let's take a look at those over 200 square meters. He turned his head and gently looked at Xia Liangqian. Let's go, sit down and take a look. Xia Liangqian stared blankly at the hand being held up, unable to react in time. A voice came in my ear, seriously, this is our wedding room. The tone was full of a mischievous smile. Xia Liangqian can't remember how many times it was the first time he had a white eye. It wasn't until the salesperson next to her described her as drowsy that Yi Zhe began to get up. Could you please take us to take a look? Wait a moment, I'll go get the key. It's not urgent. 3 people walked out of the door, and Xia Liang tightened her tight-fitting coat. Xia Liangqian was still chatting with the male salesperson when suddenly he felt pressure. Turning around, I saw Yi Zhe draped his clothes over her. Xia Liang smiled lightly to express gratitude. The interaction between you and your sister-in-law is truly affectionate in the eyes of others, she said. Xia Liangqian looked at the young salesperson in front of her and smiled helplessly. 2 hours later, the male salesperson escorted 2 people out of the sales department. Then you can consider contacting me when you go back, he said and looked at Xia Liangqian. Sister-in-law, you can bring your family over to see me anytime, just contact me. Okay, thank you. Black Land Rover is driving on a wide road. In the winter of Nanjiang City, the trees also lose their vitality. What do you think? Xia Liangqian looked at the single page in his hand, and the words written by the male salesperson had already been removed. Currently, only we sell raw materials to them, and their prices are indeed lower than ours. However, their position is slightly inferior to ours. In addition, I just looked at their 150 and 270 layouts, and they are not very good. These are all points that we can talk about. Well, have you noticed that from the beginning to the end, he only mentioned the greening of the community by the way, and then the distance between buildings? I have also noticed this, but there is one thing that our left bank may not be able to compare with them. What? If facing clients with children, they may pay attention to these top scorers from number 16 middle school. That's one thing. Can you give me a report tomorrow? Good, I'll go back to Grandma's house and see you off by the way. Then please trouble young Master Yi. Yi Zhe has become accustomed to starting the car again. As expected, the two elderly families gathered together again. Just as the meal was about to start, Xia Liangqian's phone rang. Hello. Hello, can you come pick me up? Okay, are you at home? I'll go over now. Putting down his phone, he picked up his coat and said to the three people who were still busy in the kitchen, Grandpa 1, Grandma 1, I have something to do. You guys should eat first. Grandma, it's cold outside after finishing breakfast. When Hanlin called out to Xia Liangqian, who was in a hurry to leave, and said, let Xiaoza see you off. After knocking on the toilet door, Yi Zhe, come out quickly. Xiao Qian has something to do, you can take her there. Xia Liangqian did not refuse, she knew that Su Endi must have encountered something. She could hear the despair in her tone. On the way, she called Ji Zinan and originally said she would go see first and call if there was anything else, but she couldn't resist Ji Beijia. The two agreed that whoever arrived first would go up first. I'll wait for you below. If you have anything to do, give me a call. I wanted to refuse, but after thinking about it, if something really happens, it's still good to have someone around, after all, it's a boy. Nod and get off the car. Xia Liangqian didn't think of the scene of entering the door, as there was no place to stay at Su Endi's house. The broken glass is still lying on the ground, and almost everything in the house has left its original position. Seeing this battle, Xia Liangqian was taken aback and ran to the person curled up on the sofa. Without saying a word, he began to check for any injuries and said, what's going on? He hit you. As soon as these words were spoken, Su Endi's tears were like a floodwater that had been opened, unable to stop no matter how hard it was. Where is he? Su Endi choked up and said, let's go. Before Xia Liangqian could speak again, the voice of Ji Beijia could be heard at the door. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with this? What? He hit you. Where's that bastard from Fong Gaonan? Don't be so excited, we'll all come stay at your place tonight. Xia Liangqian grabbed the imposing Ji Zinan. I've packed my things and they're in the bedroom, said Su Endi, who had calmed down. I'll go get it. Xia Liangqian quickly pulled out 3 suitcases. Let's go. Let's come back and drive another day. Let's do this for today. Yi Zhe saw someone struggling to pull 3 suitcases from afar and walked quickly over. Why don't you make a phone call? I'll go up and pick it up, he said as he took the luggage. I can, but I may also trouble you to send us to another community. Okay. Yi Zhe didn't ask much, just followed Xia Liangqian's request to deliver the 3 people, gave some instructions, and then drove away. After more than half an hour of Yi Zhe's departure, Xia Liangqian's phone remembered it again. Hello. Answered in confusion. I bought some food for you, I'll come up, you come out and take it. Xia Liangqian is still digesting, and the other party has already died. Could you please? I thought we were friends now. Ah. Friends don't need to be so polite. Ah. Okay, then you go back and pay attention to safety. Don't worry. Leave a graceful figure behind.